why don't we jump into Glow season 3? Uh, it was kind of weird thinking that this is the third season of this show. I felt like it was only the second season in a lot of ways. The first two kind of meshed together in my mind.
Sure.
Um, how did you feel about season 3 of Glow? Where was your temperature coming in, and then did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, so temperature coming in was warm, let's say that. Not boiling hot, not lukewarm, just a solid, summer heat. But Glow never made a top 10 list for me its first two seasons, nor did it for you. I think I honorable mention, of course. I never had any big complaints about either of the first two seasons. I liked a lot about it, the performers, the storylines, all that, production value. But it never really jumped out the way other shows jump out to us for the reasons that they do. We talk about that. Check those videos out. But Glow season 3 actually kind of blew me away for considering my expectations going in. And this is, I think, is easily the best season of Glow, and the one I enjoyed the most, and definitely one of my favorite seasons of TV of the year. So yeah, I was quite pleased with this new 10 episode run.
Yeah, I was excited for Glow. It wasn't a show I was thinking about oh, I can't wait till it comes back. But when it got to be time and it was dropping, I was like, oh, I can't wait to jump back in and see where these characters are at. And I agree. I think this is by far the best season of Glow. The stakes are a little bit higher for the show, just in terms of the setting is not Middle America anymore. It's Las Vegas. It's they have more production value in terms of their shows, although not a ton more. But where it left me was I was, one, impressed, but two, a little bit concerned about the show moving forward. And we can talk about that, but overall, I think that this was an accomplishment for the show, and I think that it'll definitely get more nominations at the Emmys. What did you like about the show? It seems like this was a breakout, so to speak, for you.
Yeah, and it's funny. What I liked most about this show, I've seen some people, some reviews remark as a slight negative in the sense that there's less wrestling. The sport of wrestling, we see less of that action this season.
The
And for
sport
me,
of
that's a
wrestling.
feature, not a bug. Full stop.
Yeah.
Because the most enjoyable, rewarding thing about this show the whole time, for me anyway, has been these characters and how they interact with one another, their relationships. And I think in this season, we actually get a lot more substantive stories and threads about the greater ensemble. The ensemble has always been impressive and talented, yet never fully explored truly, or always were supporting players. When Ruth, Debbie, and Sam, of course, are the core three. And they're still the core three this season. But we get a lot more for the other people, which I think is great because I like where the direction they went. And if that meant there was only really 3 wrestling scenes of consequence this time around, I'm okay with that, because we've seen the routine, and the fact that they're in Las Vegas at a hotel doing the same routine over and over again. We don't need to see that same routine over and over again as a viewer.
Right.
And what we get instead, obviously after the first episode, is episode 5, where they change rules, which was completely entertaining on its face, but also explored, finally pushed forward the exploration of stereotypes, characters that the wrestlers were playing, and then we get that, further in the next episode, Outward Bound. They go camping.
Yep.
And then, of course, the finale, where the Christmas twist, where Zoya is Scrooge. I mean, shit's great. So yeah, I liked so many of the stories and B plots this time around, and I thought almost all of them ended in a satisfying way. And again, they found a way to, I think, end you in a bit of a cliffhanger spot. So I think it's really satisfying. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think that is a major strength, is they tried to flesh out these side characters more. Do I feel like every single one was done successfully? No. I feel like some of them could have been fleshed out more. It could have been explored for longer in the show. And I think that that's kind of where my knock on this season comes in is the stuff going on with Ruth and Sam. I didn't really care about. I really like Ruth, and I'm very interested in her, and I like Sam as a character too, and I'm a lot more interested in his relationship with his daughter. But
Yes.
they're like, uh, are they going to get together? Are they not? Not as interesting to me. And I feel like they could have used that time more economically to explore something like Cherry, who they touch on her potential gambling addiction in one episode, but it kind of either gets resolved or just isn't really talked about too much more. They don't really explore her feelings around what's going on with Keith, other than they have this fight, they're separated, Keith's absent, then comes back at the very end. Those sort of things could have been explored a little bit more. Even Welfare Queen, I'm forgetting the actual person's name in it.
Yeah, for your name too.
Tammy or something like that.
Yeah,
Tamia?
somewhat to May
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. She has this whole thing where, she's having this back issue and it's explored for a whole episode. And then they kind of come to the point in Outward Bound, like, oh, you could be a manager. Great. We never see it.
Right.
And I feel like this is the thing, they try to wrap up a lot of those in the final Scrooge episode. And I really liked that episode. It was a fun watch. But some of these storylines felt a little bit rushed. And I worry, especially now that it seems like Ruth is going to be going in one direction, Debbie going in another, and potentially Sam even in another direction, that the show's going to be jumping around so much that it's not going to be able to be, it's going to have to be really economic and well written with the time for each character in order to continue this. Now, it seems like some characters, like, I don't know if we'll continue following Carmen as she goes to wrestle with her brother. That might be really interesting. I hope we do, but that also might be her leaving the show. You don't know.
Yeah, or she comes back at some point, as a
Right.
supporting character. Yeah, I think even like I think one of the biggest successful side stories with Sheila,
Mm-hmm.
finding herself, coming to terms with herself, and having personal growth, and her friendship with Bobby. Once she sheds the she-wolf persona
Mm-hmm.
and starts acting uh, like a more normal adult, I guess, you don't actually see how that affects her in the ring.
Yeah.
The next time we see wrestling is when everyone's doing something different with the Christmas Carol story. So I guess that was a final thing they left untouched. But I think Outward Bound overall was really great, just because I liked how they discussed the Asian
Yeah.
type that is Fortune Cookie, and how when Melrose, a white woman, is doing that kind of accent and being that character, it's not going to make a Chinese Cambodian person feel great.
Yeah.
And they do it in I think, a tactful, smart way that doesn't feel super preachy, and they don't villainize Melrose either.
Mm-hmm.
And even Artie, to a lesser extent, her thoughts on the Beirut character are also mentioned, and how she feels a different way. Where, so I think that kind of stuff was really smart. Also, Bash starts to break bad this season.
Yeah.
There really never was like an antagonist, like a pure antagonist that remains on the show. And then Bash seems to be that figure. But then meanwhile, we get this really nuanced exploration of his experience as a closeted man.
Mm-hmm.
And they also don't really resolve that at
Yeah.
the end. Meanwhile, you get this really like propulsive sex scene
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of this. So I think a lot of these were really great, just because we've come to know these characters a lot. The first few seasons we had to do a lot of the setup and groundwork about what the show is, how it works, who these people are. But then we actually get to dig a little deeper on this.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And Justine, too, you mentioned, Sam's daughter. I think Britt Baron, I think she's magnetic. I think she's one of the best performers on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hope we get to see more of the production of her film in LA. I think that's cool. But as you mentioned, you're worried about the spot or the show. And I think Ruth is such an intriguing, compelling character because she does stuff all the time that makes her unlikable or
Hmm.
just does annoying things.
Yeah.
And Debbie does that too, and that's why the relationship is so rich because it's really complicated, right?
Hmm.
I think Allison Brie's performance is always really great because she's bringing such life and such uh, strength to this really deep character who
Hmm.
uh, has a hard time staying happy. And the divergent point in the finale is really interesting. And yeah, I'm really not sure what direction we go in moving forward. But I just hope the show gets to keep going. We haven't got a season 4 renewal, and it's become more commonplace now that Netflix would rather cancel its original shows sooner than later.
Hmm.
OA, American Vandal, Dookie and Birdie, lots of
Yep.
beloved shows. Heck, OA I think was pretty well rated too. They just kind of get canned, and there are exceptions like Narcos and Stranger Things and The Crown, but overall, Glow has never been a huge ratings hit from what we know, and got less Emmy nominations this time around for season 2. So I'm actually kind of concerned that we won't get a season 4, which would suck because I really like where the show ended.
Yeah, and I want to see what happens next. And even with the concerns, I still really enjoy this show. So I do hope they get to finish it. I wanted to ask you because we didn't really talk a lot about Debbie. How did you feel about Betty Gilpin's performance this season?
Oh hell yeah, great Debbie season.
Yeah,
I thought she was awesome.
yeah. Seeing her come into her own as like the producer and kind of pull that deal out from under Tex at the end. I was like, hell yeah. Like it was great to see that. Although I feel like the thing with her son, which I forgot what her son's name is.
Oh shit.
So it's like a stupid name. So I just felt like it was really dumb.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
It's like Carl or something like that. I don't know.
Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anyways, I feel like that basically they're like, oh, her son's here now, and then it was just like a way to get her and Tex to run into each other, and then we really never see him
Yeah,
again.
oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
I was like, damn,
his name's Randy.
Randy, bad name. But no, overall, just a really strong season. There's so many characters to talk about. It's hard to kind of give them all justice in a review like this, but you find yourself rooting for all of them, even the ones who annoy you, even the ones who maybe you don't agree with, or the content might be a little dicey at times. You're just all in. Even Bash, it was like hard to see him be this asshole because he's not. And then of course you have the moment in the last one where he talks about wanting to be the son his mother wants, and like it's just heartbreaking. You have these moments where they really do a great job of writing these characters. So recommend Glow. We both do. Check it out.